it's Gab, and I'm reviewing Frances Ha, a new indie comedy, I guess you would say, from the director Noah Baumbach, who is probably best known for Margot at the Wedding and The Squid and the Whale. He also wrote this story, co-wrote it with the star, Greta Gerwig, who is from the indie scene, but I can't actually name a film that I've seen her in. You might recognize her, though, if you've seen lots of indie sort of quirky, hipster, dare I use the word, comedies. Although rather than a laugh out loud comedy, I would actually classify Frances Ha more as a romance, almost like a coming-of-age romance. The story in brief is that Frances and her best friend Sophie, they're best friends since college, but now they're in their late 20s, but they haven't quite got their lives together, or more so Frances. They're roommates, and it's almost like a romance between the two of them, how close their friendship is. They really are mutually rely on each other just for for every little minutiae of their days, and their support, and getting through the nights, and everything, getting through relationships, struggles with career, but more so Frances. Frances is really dependent on this relationship with Sophie, and when Sophie sort of progresses away from Frances, that leaves Frances in a bit of a limbo state, and she flits around, and she wants to be a dancer. She's not really succeeding at dancing, in relationships. She has good friendships, but she's a little bit awkward. She's the last person to leave, and you're never quite sure how much her friends really want her around. She says awkward things. She's quirky, maybe annoyingly quirky, and yet I thought this character was going to get on my nerves, just a bit too self-consciously cutesy quirky, and yet her charm wins you over. It is a charming character, and you do feel for her, although when I was that age, I was already a lot more together than her character is. And some people are and some people aren't. I think you sort of have to be able to relate somewhat to that sort of mid-late 20s, trying to find yourself, single, maybe, the New York scene. You have to sort of relate to all of that, I think, a bit to really be on board with this character and not have her drive you crazy. But actually, she doesn't drive me as crazy as, recently I saw Before Midnight, the whole Jessie and Celine navel-gazing, self-centered young people who just like to run their mouths off a lot and think that everything they say is interesting. That whole, they almost bugged me a bit more than Frances ended up did, because you're really rooting for Frances, and I guess I did relate to her ultimately in the end. The performance is, as I say, really charming, by Greta Gerwig, and all the performances, the various people in her life that come in and out, are nice performances. It's a very nicely sort of paced, believable script, again, compared to something a bit like the Before Sunrise and all those films where you do sense that there was some ad-lib and it's trying to go for a very naturalistic feel, but sometimes it's a bit forced. I did buy most of the exchanges in this movie. There are definitely some laughs, and as I say, you're just rooting for Frances, and it's charming. It's in black and white. It's almost a fly on the wall, verite kind of style, and you do feel like you're part of her life, and it's not too long, which is nice. I don't think you want to be part of her life for much longer than the less than hour and a half running time, or then it could really get on your nerves. So I think that this would appeal if you're a fan of these sorts of feels and Noah Baumbach films. I wasn't a big fan of Margot at the Wedding, and The Squid and the Whale, partly because the characters were so unlikable. Not that characters have to be likable for me to like a film, but it certainly helps. And this film, Frances Ha, I think you do need to like this character in order to care what she's going through, and I did. So very enjoyable little summer film amidst the blockbusters. Do you have to see it in the theater? No, of course not, but I'd recommend it if anything I said appeals to you. And I would give Frances Ha 3 3/4 Gabs. Thanks for watching.